Do you struggle with imposter syndrome? If you do, you are certainly not alone. A lot of us, especially women, it's something that we struggle with frequently, for a long time, and very intensely. Hi, if we've not met before, my name is Shelley Merchant, and I'm a productivity and mindset coach for midlife entrepreneurs. A couple of days ago, I listened to a Facebook Live by a woman whose email list I am on. I'm Facebook friends with, and she is very good at all the tech stuff. Her name is Terry Loving, and she did a Facebook Live on how she had been struggling with imposter syndrome, and it was about some tips that she had come up with to help all of us deal with imposter syndrome. Now, I have not been immune to imposter syndrome. It is something I have struggled with for a long time, actually. For many years, I struggled with imposter syndrome. When I was in graduate school, it was something that was of interest to me, so I did a lot of reading on it, and it is something that I have finally come to terms with after a long time of struggling with it. And so once I listened to the Facebook Live that she did, I was very intrigued, and I went over and I read her post. I think you ought to go read it too. I highly recommend that you do, and I will leave a link to that post in the comments down below. But I kept thinking about the things that she had said. And it dawned on me that there are a lot of us in this same situation, especially many of us who are women, who are of perhaps a certain age. We won't name what that name is, we won't name what that number is, but many of us women who are of a certain age, we are a group of women who were not the girls who were raised to, believe that we could be anything we wanted to be. We were a different generation, and we were, for the most part, expected to be good girls, to sit down, to be quiet, and to take care of every other person in our life. So when it came time to get into business or develop a professional identity, imposter syndrome has been something that many of us have struggled with. Now, I'm not going to lie and tell you that I've got imposter syndrome totally figured out, or that I've got it totally whipped, because that's not true. Sometimes it still rears its ugly head and bites me, However, I do think that there is a key element to helping us deal with and eventually overcome imposter syndrome. And the more I thought about it, the more simple I thought this actually really is, even though we feel like it's a very complicated topic, and the emotions are certainly complicated. But here's what I think is the key to overcoming imposter syndrome, and it is to develop a very deep and keen awareness and understanding of who you are as a person. And that means understanding and coming to terms with your strengths, your weaknesses, your talents, your skills, your flaws, the areas that you struggle with and that do not come naturally to you. That once you have a real keen understanding of who you are, it becomes easier to not feel like an imposter, to feel like the real deal, the real you, honest and authentic, and to not feel the need to compare yourself, or at least not the need to feel like you were always coming up short when you compare yourself to others. Here's what I think it boils down to. At some point in our lives, we figure out who we are, and we accept the fact that there always will be and always have been people that know more, that have more education, that have different skills. We may think those are better skills or whatever, but there are always going to be people who are further along on the continuum than we are, and who are not as far on the continuum as we are. And then to finally accept the fact that that is okay, that we have our particular unique set of skills, talents, competencies, and they may be greater than someone else's, and we can help teach those people, but they may not be as far along as someone else, and those are the people that we can learn from. But that actually was what I finally came to after pondering on this Facebook Live that Terry did, was the fact that to deal with imposter syndrome, it's great to have the tips, and we want those. Those help us on our road to accepting fully who we are as a human being, but that to finally overcome imposter syndrome and to feel a sense of satisfaction and acceptance of where we are requires knowing who we are and where we are and what we're capable of doing. And that, like I said, to me was a kind of a simple realization, and yet it was something that I thought, okay, after several years of really working on myself, that is where I have come to. Now, I don't know if that is a thing that is caused by getting older, whether it's an age thing. I don't know whether it is related to the fact that I had a cancer diagnosis a year and a half ago, and once you get a scary health diagnosis, you spend some time trying to figure out what's it all about. But that is what I think is a real key to dealing with imposter syndrome. Now, do I think that means that it is easy? No, I don't. I don't think most things about self-discovery in life are particularly easy, but I do think that they are necessary. I encourage you to spend some time figuring out who you are as a person, your strengths, your talents, your competencies, your likes and your dislikes, and then to let yourself know that that is okay. Wherever you are on that continuum, that is exactly where you're meant to be at this point in time, and that you are not an imposter, that you are, wherever you are the real deal. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to leave a link below in the comments to Terry's blog for you to read her post, and to my blog as well. That is ShellySieglerMerchant.com, which I do realize is quite a mouthful, so I will leave a link. In the meantime, I hope you have a great day, and go lay some bricks.